Hey y'all, happy Sunday. I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. This video is about power. Oh my gosh. The most happened in this episode too. Y'all thought last week did the most. This week did the most as well. So, start off the episode with Tariq being in his room at home watching the news. And of course, all the news reports are talking about Kanan and the police officers that he killed. So he killed 4 police officers, and then at one point in time, they put his son, Sean, who he killed, up there as well. And so, they kind of are speculating, what led to all this happening that night and all this other stuff. Trying to figure out if they feel that he killed the police officers because justice wasn't served for his son or something to that extent, even though we all know that he killed his own child. But anyway, meanwhile, as the news is going on, Tasha and Ghost are arguing, and I was sitting here like, what in the world? They get louder and louder, like it was so bad that Tariq was like, what is going on? So he ended up going out there, and then it turns out it's his daddy, his mama, and Tommy arguing. And, Ghost and Tasha are really the main ones that were going out at it at first, which is why I thought they were just in there arguing amongst themselves. And, of course, it's about Ghost being mad because he didn't get to do what he wanted to do. Then he was sitting up there blaming Tasha, and Tasha was like, look, this is not the way that I planned it to go. What was supposed to happen was he was going to get jammed up, he was going to get locked up, and that was going to be the end of it. And Ghost was looking like, you put our son in the middle of this, he could have gotten killed, all this other stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh. Tommy reading the whole time. Like, everybody is arguing because even though everybody knows how Kanan is, Tommy still felt like it was messed up the way he went out because he had been doing a lot of stuff for them, even though they don't know a lot of the underhanded stuff he had been doing behind their backs. So it gets to a point where Tariq interrupts everybody and was like, look, y'all got what you wanted, we won. And they looking like, what are you talking about? And so he was just like, he is the reason why they were even able to breathe now, and nobody is gonna have any issues to deal with. And he told Ghost that Kanan was the only father figure he ever had. He was more of a father to him than he's ever been. And like, he was just being mad disrespectful to the point of where Ghost set it off on him and was like, you need to go to your room and pack your bags, and so we can get ready to go to the train station, because he was gonna send him back to school. So Tariq looking like I said what I said though. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So then, anybody who hasn't seen that commercial that came on last week, whether it was on the internet or not, where he kept saying, teach me the game, Ghost. I was just like, boy, if you don't go somewhere and sit down. He made me want to snatch him through the TV. I was just like, boy. So it's just so crazy because Ghost was like, look, you don't want this life, you don't know what you're asking for, and all this other stuff. And so Tariq read him and was like, you're not who you say you are. It doesn't matter you putting on all these suits and all that other stuff. It doesn't change who you are. And me going to school doesn't change who I am. And he basically was saying that he is, about that life. And I'm just like, boy, stop. So go to the next scene. And that woman, her name is Sergeant Rodriguez. She's the main person who's coming to play. And, she came out of town and wanted to figure out what was going on with Angela Valdez. Because every time you look up, she seems to be at the center of all kinds of stuff that's going on. Like literally places that you wouldn't even think she would be there because, she's trying to cover herself and do all kinds of random stuff. But anyway, she said that she still doesn't believe Angela is innocent and all this other stuff. And I don't know why I cannot remember some of these people's names, but the black woman that's over everybody, she was just like, look, we got tired of trying to do all this stuff, we tired of trying to get Angie. Every time we look up it fails, like we just need to do something else. Because every time we try to pin something on her, it don't stick. And it always comes back to bite us. So then Ghost ended up showing up to Angie's house to see why her and Tasha were working together. And so she straight up read him, like Ghost got read the whole episode, y'all. I was just like, bruh, just stop while you're ahead. She was like, look, I did what I did because your plan wasn't gonna work, so deal with it. I was just like, bruh, just stop. So y'all, another moment where I wanted to reach and snatch somebody through the TV was at the end of their conversation when she said what she said, which was you wasn't gonna be able to get the job done. That's why I went behind your back and did what I did, even though that wasn't the outcome we wanted as far as, Kane and dying. The plan worked, and now the heat is off us. You should be happy. So here come Ghost. I don't know if I can trust you. What are you talking about, sir? What are you talking? I cannot. Like, people like him kill me. They do the absolute most. Then they be like, I don't know if I can trust you anymore. What are you talking about? Oh, so anyway, the next scene is Mock and that other guy, that white guy who works in the same office as Angela. They showed up at Tommy's daddy's house trying to get him, put more pressure on him to get information that they need so that Tommy could get locked up. So whatever, he was talking about, oh, I'm trying to do what I can do, whatever, blah. So then the next scene is where Tommy, I think he's at his house. And like I told y'all earlier, Tommy was at Tommy was at Tasha and them house earlier that morning, right? Well, in this scene, Keisha come in and she was like, well, where were you earlier? And so he was like, oh, I had to go handle some stuff with Ghost and Tasha. And so she was like, I thought you said after all that stuff went down, we weren't going to deal with them anymore. And he was like, well, we're not, but, basically tying up loose ends, doing what he got to do. And, he is still trying to be on his mission of not dealing with Ghost anymore and all this stuff, like for real this time. So, she was like, look, I know all of what you do. I know you push weight, but, as long as you tell me the stuff you need to tell me and don't keep secrets, I'm fine. And then she had the nerve to be like, I mean, you haven't killed anyone, right? And I'm just like, ma'am. He say no, he took a big old gulp of water. I was like, sir. Oh, gosh. So anyway, the next scene is Dre met up with that last Jimenez, the Jimenez sister, Alicia, met up with her, and she was mad because when all that stuff happened on the last episode, which was her brother, I think it's her brother's head, was found on the property and all that stuff at the club or whatever. And, he's trying to do all this stuff through the club and all this other stuff. So a lot of her stuff, all her drugs and stuff, got not seized. Everything came to a halt. The way that they actually do everything in order to send the drugs where they're gonna send it and all that stuff, like the way things flow got interrupted. So he's trying to persuade her to just be patient. No, I can't do the stuff I used to do because they all over stuff right now, of course, because a dead head, somebody's head, a dead person, their head, was found there. So, of course they're doing investigations and all this other stuff. So he can't do none of the stuff that he was doing that she basically trusted him, to do. So she got mad and was like, look, that's all right. Cristobal from now on is going to be over you. And it was looking like, what you mean? So he was mad. She walked off. He was mad. So I was like, what did you get? So then they made sure to lead in with the next scene where Angela is leading a meeting where they were discussing that very thing, which was that head. And she was like, we got to figure out what we got to do in order to get Alicia, because every time they try to get her, something backfires and they end up getting off or something else happens and they don't get the win. So they were discussing that. So then they go to the next scene, and Tommy is meeting up with the Connect, and he got The connect that I'm talking about is the guy who Tommy's daddy has been dealing with for like over 20 years or whatever. The guy who I think he was that same guy who had been looking after his wife, checking in on her while he was away. So anyway, met up with them, and they were talking and eating, and it was looking like, look, I don't know what happened, but while we were doing what we do, which is they were running drugs. They've been doing this scheme for over 20 years where they sneak drugs in through the jail, prison, whatever, without any issues ever in life. This one particular time, they got singled out, and for some reason, well, not for some reason, we know why. But anyway, they got singled out, and they still were able to get the things that they needed to go through. But the guy was like, I don't know what's going on with this, and something ain't right. It must be a snitch somewhere in the circle. I don't know what's going on. So he just kept saying, I could tell something ain't right. So then they ended up going to the next scene, and Mock and that guy met up with Proctor. And so they basically told him, like, look, what you're going to do is wear this wire and go see James St. Patrick, which we all know is Ghost, and get him to confess to the murder of that security guard or PO, whatever. I think it was the guard at the jail. And whatever, like basically anything he has to say, he needs to wear the wire and get him to confess. Well, at first he was like, I ain't doing nothing. Like, you can take this and shove it, basically. Then he was walking off, and then Mock. I cannot stand him. I need somebody to kill him. He done hurt my soul too. He sat up there, and as usual, he tried to play well, I guess we're going to let the crackhead baby mama end up getting custody of your child. So, of course, that stopped him in his tracks. And he was like, look, you're going to have to do something for me if you want me to wear this wire, because I usually don't, because, basically, even though they are supposed to kind of work hand in hand and work together, they, meaning Tommy and Ghost, they were his clients. And so that attorney-client privilege is being violated if he does this, even though, again, it's for his department and all this other stuff. And he does not believe in being a disloyal person. And he has made that very abundantly clear this whole season. So for the sake of his child, everybody already know he's going to do what he got to do. Because that's how he got his job back anyway. So, he was like, once I do this, I'm done. So he has some kind of guarantee where nothing blows back on him, whatever. So he later on, I'm gonna tell y'all what happens. So anyway, he takes the wire and he storms off. So then they end up showing Ghost meeting with Tate. Y'all, I ain't care nothing about it. It was, I don't know, every time they meet up now, it just bores me, and he just gets on my nerves. He's still crooked, and I'm just like, I would rather you not be a governor or anything. Don't care about your cause. All Ghost really cares about is trying to get his daughter's name on those buildings and all the other stuff. So I still don't know if that's really actually going to happen. So whatever on that. Then Angela ended up meeting with Dre and trying to shake him down for information. It was like, look, you need to give me information on Alicia, which is, the person that's over the little drug cartel and all that stuff. And at first he tried to play like he didn't know what was going on. And then, like everybody else is so slick at doing, he brought up him being a father and his child, and if he wants to still be around her and take care of her, that he needs to do this, or he gonna go down for all kinds of stuff. So he was like, well, it's gonna be kind of hard for me to do anything since I'm not the distro or the person that's leading the charge like he was before. And so he ended up telling her that Cristobal was over. He was like, what are you talking about? So anyway, Cristobal, I don't think I went. No, I didn't. So, yeah. What happened was, at first he was just like, nah. So later on, something happened. Because I was about to get myself confused. I was like, I know all that didn't happen at the same time. So anyway, Tommy went to go meet up with his daddy, and Ghost popped up to talk. And as usual, Ghost Ghost be like, I ain't got time. Everybody need to leave the room. When Kanan was alive, he was like, yeah, we need to, talk privately and all that. So, Tommy got upset again. And his dad was like, oh, that's all right. I got some things to do, whatever. So he left. So then he was like, look, we still got to do what we got to do and, move forward. And so Tommy was like, we still haven't, what about the plan that happened that was supposed to happen with Dre? We still didn't do that. And Ghost was like, well, we still gonna do that. Then Ghost proceeds to say, you need to, keep your distance. Your daddy ain't, I don't think who you're thinking he is and all this other stuff. Just keep warning him to stay away from him and then I trust him. And, Tommy is not trying to hear that. So then we go and they go to the next scene and they show Tommy's daddy and that guy who is his old friend, which is the same guy who is uneasy and is, having really great, intuition about something being wrong because they got pulled over and singled out when they were trying to do the little drug exchange and funneling through the prison. So they got to talking and he was like, look, you need to go ahead and do whatever you got to do to flip your son because I can't do this much longer because he said it just feel like something ain't right and there's some kind of snitch among the group. So he was like, all right, don't worry about it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. He was like, and then he tried to play it off like, he was like, are you a mind reader or something? Because at first I thought he was going, I was like, what you mean? So he tried to, play along, was like, well, are you a mind reader? And trying to make it seem like he gonna, go on ahead and get some more information to them so that Tommy can go down and go away and they won't have to deal with this stuff anymore. So then Dre and Cristobal met up and they were talking and Cristobal was trying to be trying to act like he was sorry for what was going on. And he was like, I had no idea that she was going to appoint me this position. And so he was like, but I hope ain't no hard feelings. That's why I came to see you. And so Dre trying to play it out. I said, no, man, I'm cool. It's cool, whatever. And so he was like, well, I'm going to just let you know I'm supposed to be meeting up with her at some place they were supposed to be meeting up at, right? And so he was like, well, I think she want to, have sex with me. And so, he trying to do the typical guy thing like, oh, whatever, blah, and all that stuff. And so, Cristobal left. He tried to, wipe the smile clean off his face because, of course, he's not happy that he is not at the level that he was. He got demoted. So, he tried to put on a front in front of Cristobal. So then Tariq met up with I think it's the Italian Connect that him and, Kanan met up with before. And he was like, look, the dude was like, oh, yeah, I remember you. Or whatever, and he was like, but what are you doing here? And he told him, I know you saw the news. I know you know what happened to Kanan, and he had a bag of drugs and stuff. And he was like, look, I need you to move this for me. So he was like, okay. He was like, look, you need to go ahead and go before your parents show up and all this other stuff. And he was just trying to let him know, like, look, I know what I got to do, and that's fine, but I need for you to, he said something about, do you know where I can get a fake ID? So then go to the next, ended up going to the next scene. So I was like, oh, okay, y'all doing both. So then Dre ended up popping up at Angie's apartment. And so he was like, yeah, I remembered where you lived from one of the time when I was driving and I had to bring Ghost over here. So I remembered that this was where you lived. And so she was like, what do you want, Dre? So then, he came to play. He was like, look, Alicia is going to be here on this day at this time, fall through, basically. So she was like, this better be good information, whatever. So then it was just a mess. So they were right as far as the woman wanting to have sex with Cristobal. So they go to that scene and they start trying to make out and they're kissing and all this other stuff. And then the FBI storms her room tell her that they got her on charges of racketeering and all this stuff. So then they go to the next scene, and Tommy's daddy, even though he has seen beyond sketchy this whole time, he gets to a point where he really doesn't want to give his son up. His wife is now on hospice. She ended up making a turn for the worse, like a day or two prior or whatever, sometime recently. And, you know, he ended up being on the phone with Mock and that guy, and he was giving up information, but it wasn't on Tommy. It was information. Well, it was information that I think that Tommy did or he did. One of the two of them did it, but it wasn't Ghost. But he tried to make it seem like Ghost did certain things, and he was like, well, Tommy didn't have nothing to do with this, whatever. So he's trying to pin everything on Ghost only, so Ghost will go down and he'll still be able to form this relationship with his son. So the friend is in the background and walk in on the situation, and he looking like, what in the world's going on up in here? So then he was like, what are you doing? And he trying to play it off, and it was so crazy because the dude started kind of going off, and he was like, that's not a part of the plan. Then Tommy walk in, and he was like, what's going on in here? Y'all know how loud and how buck Tommy be getting. And so he was like, Tommy, what you don't know is your daddy. And while he in the middle of trying to tell how his daddy is the snitch, his daddy ended up having a knife and stabbed this man to death. Killed that man something terrible. Then he gonna turn to Tommy. He was like, Tommy, I was gonna tell you, I found out that he was the snitch. Okay, you did the most. So he ended up saying, you gonna help me with the body, and he ended up, dumping his body somewhere, I guess. So then Angela met up with Ghost to show him pictures of Tommy's daddy meeting up with Mock and that other guy. So he was like, see, I knew it. I told Tommy this whole time that someone right about his daddy. And so, they got this information, and he was like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna be able to do because he don't believe nothing I gotta say. So, but that goes into the next scene, which was Ghost meeting up with that Italian connect. It's funny because his son just met up with that dude, looked like a couple of hours ago from the way they kind of make it look. So anyway, he was like, yeah, man, he tried to present himself as, James St. Patrick. Dude was like, yeah, I already know you. I know you Ghost. So he was kind of trying to look shook. Then he went on ahead and sat down and got into his normal Ghost, his little Ghost regime. I was just like, sir, just stop. So he was like, what you need from me? Because ain't no way you just coming here to give me information and that's it. So he was like, yeah, so I got some information and I need for you to deliver it to Tommy. He was like, well, Tommy's supposed to be your best friend or whatever, so why can't you tell him? He was like, well, Tommy ain't really trying to hear nothing I'm saying right now because he's so close to the situation, and he has been having trust issues with me for a good little while now, so it wouldn't come off the way it should from me, and he's not gonna believe me. So the information, of course, was that his daddy is the snitch. And so he was like, he was like, you ain't got no proof of that. I can't do all that. I'm not finna just go in there, looking crazy and I ain't got no kind of proof. He pulled out the information, which was the pictures and all that stuff, showing his daddy meeting up with them. So he was like, okay. So he was like, look, you got to convince him that his dad is the snitch and that he need to take him out. So the next scene is where they ended up meeting with Proctor and telling him exactly what he needed to say to James, Ghost, whatever you want to call him. So he was like, okay, yeah, whatever. I don't care nothing about what you're talking about right now. I know what to do. I just need to have my guarantee. So where is it at? So they drew up paperwork, to basically show that he would be, exonerated from everything or whatever. Whatever they drew up, it would all benefit Proctor. So he was like, oh, okay. So he signed the paperwork. He was like, yeah, but I'm gonna hold on to this until after after everything has been done, because I know y'all might try me. So they was like, okay, yeah, whatever. So it's funny because he went and met up with Ghost. They trying to talk. And Ghost is being his normal self. Then Ghost would go and start talking about, yeah, you know, we family. And like, he really sounded genuine when he said what he said. So Proctor got in his feelings like he always do. And he sat up there and got like a little napkin and he started writing and basically saying that he was wearing a wire. Because, you know, can't say it because it's going to get recorded and they're going to know that he tipped him off. And so the answers that he gives are not going to be accurate if he's telling the truth or if he's lying or whatever. But, you know, since he wrote it on the napkin, of course they wouldn't know. So he looking like, how dare you? So then anyway, Proctor go into these questions, asking him about if he killed these certain people and where was he on these days and all this other stuff. And goes giving all these manufactured answers. Then he was like, oh, okay, so it's safe to say that you didn't kill this person, which I think is that guard at the prison. And so then after he said that he snatched the wire out, unplugged it so nothing else would transmit, then Ghost hemmed him up. He was like, what's wrong with you? And cussed him out and slammed him around a little bit. And he was like, look, I had no choice. They said they was going to take my child away from me and give it to my child's mother and all this other stuff. And he was like, look, I'm just trying to prove to you that I am loyal and all this. And he was like, look, all I got to tell you is you need to go on ahead and flip on Angela, because she going to flip on you. I guarantee you right now, she flipping on you. And so he was sitting up there looking like he trying to think about it. Then they go to the next scene. Oh, God. And Tommy's connect came and was talking to him. And off rip, you know, that dude didn't waste no time. He was like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, your dad is a snitch. He was just like, excuse me? He was like, yeah, your dad is a snitch. And then he was like, how would you know that? You don't have any proof. Y'all know how Tommy be doing the most. I'd be like, bruh, every time. He was like, you don't have any proof. He whipped the proof out and he just, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I was just like, yep, every time. And he straight up told him that he had to be the one to take his daddy out. And he was just like, wow. So then, y'all, the reason why Tariq wanted the fake ID was so that he can go down to the place that they was holding Kanan's ashes and pose as one of his other random sons and pick up the ashes. Girl, ma'am, sir, everybody, I was so tired. I was like, boy, if you don't sit down, so you doing the most. So then the next scene was Tommy drove to see his daddy, and well, he drove to go get his daddy. So he went and got his daddy because his daddy wanted to go and see his wife. Because like I told y'all before, she's in hospice. So they talking. His daddy trying to act like everything is all just wonderful, hunky-dory. And then Tommy, you know, start, you know, doing how he do. And leading into the fact that, you know, he know that he is, you know, the snitch. And he let him know that, you know, he was like, you know what this ring is for? You know what this ring means to me? You know who this belonged to? You know, and he keeps that ring on his neck. And he was like, no. And his dad starts getting the hint. And he ended up telling him about how it belonged to Holly, who was his, you know, now dead girlfriend / fiance. And, you know, of course, he found out that she was betraying him and all this other stuff and doing stuff behind his back. And so he killed her. So then I'm thinking he about to still, you know, be like, yep, I said what I said. I gave you this little, you know, this little story time while we was on the way to your death. But he literally went to the hospital, wherever it was, to the hospice place. And he was like, you still gonna let me see my wife? He was like, yeah. So he went in there. That man stayed 5 minutes or less. I'm like, your wife is dying, sir. Why would you just only be in there for 5 minutes, if that? So he told her, I love you. And the way he was acting, his wife knew he was, you know, acting a little off. He was like, she was like, well, what's going on? Like, whatever. And, you know, she figured it out. She was like, Tommy knows. And all this other stuff. And she was like, you know, he He would walk through hell for you. He would do all this stuff for you. And all this other stuff. And I was just like, man, just, ugh. So then, you know, he was like, well, I'll see you tomorrow. All this other stuff. Then he leave, right? So he look at the exit sign. And I'm like, oh, I know you're old behind. Not finna try to duck out the back or out of a side door. But I guess he felt like, well, I got to man up and face whatever he gonna do. Maybe I can talk him out of it. So he went on back out the front door. Cause Tommy was sitting out front with the car running. He was sitting there like, he probably gonna try. He probably gonna try to run. So the way he was looking, he kept looking back and forth. Then he saw him appear. He was like, I was like, no. So then he get in the car. And he was like, I can't believe you're still here, or whatever. And then they get to talking. And Tommy cut him off and was like, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. And he ended up taking him somewhere and he got a bag. And I'm thinking, okay, he got a gun or something in this bag. I wasn't really paying attention to that part, but he had a bag and he looked in it, but then he closed it and zipped it up. So I was like, okay. So him and Tommy were still talking. Well, at least Tommy was letting him talk at times. And he was like, you know, whatever. I ain't got time for this. And he was just like, I can't believe you did this to me. He ended up killing his daddy, long story short. So then all this music came on, and then they ended up showing his daddy's body laying on a grave that had Teresi on it. I don't know whose grave it was. All I saw was Teresi. I wasn't looking at nothing else. But his body was just laid out there, right? Y'all, so then not soon after that, Tommy went straight over to his mama's house. And she was looking like, Tommy, what you doing here? And she kind of trying to cover up. Y'all know how much of a whore and druggie and everything else his mama is. And she's usually pretty free. So I'm looking like, why is she trying to cover up and things? Like, what is going on? So then, you know, he went in there and told her, he was like, Mom, you were right. He was a snitch and all this other stuff. And she was like, I told you. And I was right. Then he told her that he killed her, that he killed him. And, you know, he sat up there and laid on his mama the rest of the night like he was being consoled. Then, y'all, I'm just so tired. Ghost ended up, wait a minute. I don't know, I was moving. Y'all, I was so happy I started moving. All my information. Anyway, killed him and all that good stuff. And his mama said that he did the right thing. Y'all, then, this is the last of it, y'all. The end of the episode. So, they done came off of a win after they had, you know, arrested Alicia and all this other stuff. So they had the black woman who's over all of them walking Angela somewhere. Angela looking like, I didn't know we had a meeting. What is this meeting about? The woman ain't saying nothing, just walk her into this room. And all you see is Mock, that guy, all these other people, they in there. So then she got ambushed. And they was like, yeah, we got you on conspiracy and all this other stuff. And and so she's trying to figure out what are they even talking about, because what happened was she is so dumb and she thought she was 2 steps ahead when she really was 10 steps back and behind. That man finally told her who the CI was, which was, you know, basically Tommy's daddy. And so he was like, we found his daddy's body, his dead body, in a graveyard tonight. And that let me know that you were doing things you ain't had no business doing behind our back and all this other stuff. And so, yeah, she messed herself up. They played her real well. It was a test and she failed miserably. So yeah, that's all that happened on this episode, y'all. Hope you enjoyed it. Y'all have a nice day.